Nice teeth, though, you got.
Thank you.
They're real teeth?
They're all real.
Yeah,
I finally have gotten to the dentist.
that helps.
Yes. I've gotten 4 more fillings.
And
Are we supposed to be
rolling.
talking?
Sure.
Oh, rolling. Did you get
Rolling.
her?
I love that how you asked my 29-year-old brother if he has real teeth. It's fabulous.
He's 31 now, so maybe you
By
lost
the
2
way,
years of
that's
your life.
funny. Sounded better on tape.
Am I supposed to be talking to her or you?
You are.
You're gonna be here.
Oh.
Here we go.
Here
so
I go.
you're gonna look at Andy and you're gonna tell us a little about your history. Ready?
Okay, my history. I'm a girl. I was,
No.
and I was born of a family of girls. I was the 4th child and 4th girl. And that discouraged me so that they waited 10 years before they had another child, another girl. But then finally, 10 years later, they got a boy. So I'm, what line am I in there? And we had a very, very, very busy youth of tomboy. My father cut our hair and kept it short all the time, all the time. And
What year were you born?
we're in 1923, January 25th, 1923. And it was a wintry, blizzardy day, and I love winter. I don't know if it has anything to do with it or not, but I love winter ever since. And I've always been physically active. Prefer that to cooking and cleaning and, the other ladylike activities. And we had some adventures before and after we were married, Stanley and I. But I'm trying to think how I dated him. I think he just asked me out and we went. We always went to the theater, but we always walked. And that was like downtown, which is at least 3 or 4 miles. And sometimes he let me hold his hand. Felt devilish on those days. But some of the fun things we had were in the snow. So what do we do? Yeah, I had some story all lined up to say about the snow.
Was it sledding? Skiing?
Well, we sledded. Couldn't get any other kids to go sleigh riding, though. Well, one thing our family did was every Sunday, you can swear by it, we'd go to church and come home, have dinner, and into our ski clothes and winter clothes into the college playground. No, ski. Yeah. And that's not the word I want either.
That's fine.
So then we'd all go sleigh riding, we'd all go tobogganing, we'd all go hiking up and down snowy hills and play outside in the snow. You could just swear in it. But nowadays I get such a kick out of it because you can't get the kids to go out in the snow at all. You know what the cause of that is, don't you? Television. So they just sit and watch the activities on. And then we, of course, camped. My family camped. And we mean camped. We backpacked and built up our own little lean-to sites. And this one time, we went in the summertime, my mother, that surprised me. I didn't learn that until this year. Here I'm 80-something, 83, I think. But we went camping up to boy, names, it'll come to me. But anyway, Stanley and I went on ahead of the other people, and we came on down. Someone said it's found a door where we're going to get and go and put it in one of the big rocks that were all over the place and have a table. So Stanley and I took a detour and went up and picked that up and come down. Unbeknownst to us, it was on top of a beehive. And I picked up the thing, and the bees came flying out of me. And it's a steep, real steep hills. You can't picture it. This real steep hill. Platterkill is all hills and rocks. But we flew down that path. And there's about and then there's 5 foot, 4 foot, 3 foot, 6 foot. We came to about a 5 foot drop in the falls, and I just jumped in and sat wiggling because the bees had bitten me and are biting me. I look up and there's Stanley looking at me and trying so hard not to laugh. Here he was, I was in misery, and I must have looked a sight, right? Sitting there wiggling. So that was pretty exciting. He survived that. He apologized and was very nice about it. But what else do you want to know?
Talk about your growing up, some of your childhood with your sisters. What did you guys do?
Oh, well, we used
what
to.
kind of activities do you do? And from what I understand, you guys are pretty poor, right?
Oh yeah, we had nothing. And
Look at you.
until we went to work, we all worked through school, and the money went to the house. But what was I going to say? Early in our life.
What did you guys do together a lot?
Your sisters.
With our sisters, we had nothing, We just went for walks or hikes. We called them a hike. And sometimes carried a lunch and sometimes didn't. And
You play games at night together?
we played, what was nice in those days, that you played the whole backyard. Like we lived on there's an alleyway, we called it, and then to our 2 side streets. And some of the side streets had a back door at the alleyway. And see, I get all this built up and I forget.
You would play in the alleyway? Play different games?
We'd play in the alleyway, thank you. But the whole street, boys and girls, they'd be like, say 12 on up to 15, 16. We all played together, played Rock on the Dock and Red Rover, that so-and-so come over, and all different run and tag games.
Kick the can.
But the kids all played together. Nowadays, it seems they have to be the same age, or the same sex, or the same activity at school, or they don't seem to do much together. And then with Stanley, another exciting time I had was come on, was what? Come on, fill in. Does Stanley have all this trouble? He probably could talk right along, huh?
Well, no, he problems remembering things, yeah. It was a long time ago.
Well, this one time, I didn't have a bike. And Stanley and I were engaged to be married, I think. But this was older. We're just trying to get the age bracket there. I bought a bike, secondhand bike. And I'd never ridden a bike, never have ridden a bike. And I got on and sort of paddled along. Well, he said, so the second day, he said, let's go for a ride to his friend who lives out on the farm. So I said, that sounds like fun. So we got on our bikes. And I remember I've ridden one day. I learned to ride the bike. And it was about 15, 20 miles to this house. I didn't make it. I got just one point. I said, I walked to the side of the road, put the bike down, laid down, and said, that's it. Pick me up on your way back. I'm done. I'm done in. I was exhausted. So Stanley did go on, and he got his friend. His friend's father brought the truck and picked me up. And that was my first real big adventure on a bike. But after that, we went on a lot of bike hikes. Our favorite place to go bike hike, what?
He's burping.
Oh.
Sorry. It's fine, I can't hear myself.
You ruined my train of thought, and I was going so
Andy
good.
did.
Bike paths.
Worried about
We've been on bike paths.
You went biking a lot with Stan after that, what he said.
Yeah. You're doing good. Keep it up. Well, our main entertainment was going to the movies. Walk downtown, go to the movies, walk home at night. And we did every place we went, we walked. So we got liked it. We enjoyed walking and hiking.
Did you guys have Nickelodeons around here?
Yeah. I never had a nickel, though. I never played one.
Tell us about your parents.
That's so surprising as I think back now. I tried to think of my mother. I can't even think what she looked like. I remember my father because he was the boss, and so he sort of stood out. But they told me, my sister told me that my mother would take the whole galley gang camping overnight at Platterkill, which means we'd all carry our own stuff and I don't know how my mother ever got in. I don't think she ever walked all that way, but she brought all the kids from the alley up to the Platterskill, and it's still a nice place to visit. Well, you guys visited. Remember, that's where you ran with your clothes off.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's where we did all our camping, our hiking, and my mother would go with us. Well, my father had Parkinson's by now, and he's really shaken bad. So he couldn't do anything except barely get to work and get back until, of course, he couldn't do that anymore. So as soon as high school started, we kids all went to work to, help the financial situation.
Do you remember how old you were?
Well, I hit all the years. I don't know. I don't know. How old was I
When you started working?
when I started working? Okay, I must have been 16 in high school, 15, 16, 14, someplace in there. In fact, when we got married and I'd saved all the money I could save and stuff, and I always, as I said, we worked and gave my mother the money. When we were getting married, I said, "Gee, Mom, could I not give you the money this week for the honeymoon? I'd have a little money of my own for the honeymoon." And she let me.
Oh, we're gonna pause there for a second. Danielle?
Did you find it? Huh?
I'm wrong.
Did you find it hard? Because you guys got married and then Stanley had to go into the Navy. So was that a pretty hard experience for you to have Stanley away the whole time for, what was it, 2 years? 2.5 years? Do you remember that being a really
Well, I was
hard time?
glad when he came home, but I was working all the time, so. And I was living with my mother-in-law.
You okay? Need some water?
Yeah,
Water?
I think that'll help.
Oh, that sounds okay. Well, here, I'll turn.
Thanks, baby.
Oh, thank you.
That's why you're here.
I'll bring you water.
You didn't know.
Hey.
It's a God thing.
Here, you want that up here? We keep it up here.
So tell us about, let's go ahead, you're in Stanley again, so let's go ahead and talk about, do you remember how he proposed?
Yeah, more or less.
Tell Andy.
Hello. Yeah, we just talked about it. We just went, so we get married someday and when, or do we like different times a year better? We just sort of talked about it, and all of a sudden we said, well, let's get married the 25th. There was no proposal as such. But yeah, married at my aunt's backyard up on Lenox Road. My grandfather had built the house. It's still there today. And we got married in the backyard. And then we took the train to Maine. The train to Maine falls mainly on the, yeah.
That's the rain in Spain. Well, it's mainly in the plains.
Yeah.
The train in Maine.
That's what outtakes from all
We
this
took the
footage.
train. We took the train to Maine. Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess we made it in one day. There was no overnight of that one. To my mother. My mother was living in Maine at this time with my sister, so that's where we spent our honeymoon. Was in Maine. And if they went to town, then we'd get a ride with them in the rumble seat of a car that was cold. And we went swimming in the ocean, and the ocean was ice cold. They can have and so trying to think where is the other place we swam in the ocean? Down south, in a little town. Come on.
Charleston,
No,
Savannah.
no.
Where south? In like Florida or in South New York?
Georgia, North Carolina.
Virginia. New Jersey.
Isn't that dumb?
Cape Cod.
Cape Cod. That's it. Cape Cod. And the water was cold. And the water and the air, everything was cold. But we still would go hiking and go swimming and until we came home, and then we went back to work and got down to the saving all our money and getting rich. We still could dream. Oh, Stanley probably told his favorite story, right?
Which one was that?
Whenever he wanted me, he just had a whistle. You didn't tell that? Oh, gee, I gave my own. He lived on the alleyway, and I lived on Lang Street. And so his back door was in the alley, and my back door was in the alley. So whenever he wanted to get going someplace, he just would go out back and whistle. And we'd have decided where we were going to go, but he said, "Come on, I'm ready." So he just had a whistle when he wanted me to. If he tells it, let him tell that story. Don't say she told us that, because I want to see
Give me the
how he'll.
Compare these
notate
stories.
that. I've also got on there the story on the bike. I didn't ask Grandpa yet. She told it. That's cool. I've got the note about the story of the bike.
Okay.
She already told, so we get Grandpa's perspective on that. Cool. So what was it about Stan, and what point do you think was it that you knew that he was marriage material? Like you wanted to marry Stanley. What was it about him?
Well, I think he was smart, and I think he was. He liked to do things. We both liked to hike. We both liked to. Of course, he didn't like to spend money. He hasn't changed there. He hasn't changed there too much. But enough. We had good times and stuff. We lived. I probably can't remember those. We lived on Lang Street. When we first got married, we had an apartment on Rankin Avenue. It was a 3-story apartment. Back we passed it. We pointed it out to Kelly. And then after we left there, I can't think. I'll have to think about that later.
It's fine.
I'm really taxing my little brain, I don't.
Yeah, it's okay.
I don't do much with it,
Did the entertainment for you guys change when the kids started coming along? They were your whole.
Oh yeah, well we were very, very fortunate there because I lived next door to my mother and father-in-law, and you couldn't have asked for a better mother-in-law, no matter what you did. And she took almost every Saturday we would go out to the show or something, and she'd take care of the kids.
His father was away a lot, wasn't he?
His father was, well, on the
railroad.
railroad. He had to, yeah. But it doesn't seem he was. Can't think that he was away that much. Because Ma, they finally moved down to Binghamton for a while, and
That's fine.
yeah.
Tell us about that first pregnancy when Grandpa had to go away with the Navy.
Oh, our little boy. Yeah, that was a blow. But it's funny how you can take things like that as they come along. Life is never going to be rosy. There's trouble's going to come. I had started out, my family was not church oriented at all. Stanley's was every Sunday, regular. But I had started going to church by myself. And the Baptist church was right down Lower Union Street, whereas Stanley went right up around the corner to the Methodist, to the Presbyterian church. But anyway, I started going to church by myself, and we did a lot of activities through that. Blank.
That's okay.
What was the question?
Let's get back to the story of the first pregnancy. Remember when Stanley had to go away for the Navy and you were excited about being pregnant for that first time?
Well, it was a thrill until the grand finale, which was not very happy because the baby was born dead. No reason. He was 8 pounds something. Real pudgy, good-looking baby, but I only saw him for what. And they wouldn't let you hold him. They said when something like that, evidently maybe mentally that's too emotional or something, but you never held him. But then we had 3 girls. The girls won. So that probably was the most unhappy or the most difficult time of all, was just when the baby was. But we took it real well. Well, Stanley was away in the Navy. There's no, you just didn't get upset about things. You just took them as they came because they kept coming. Life was good to us, I think. We had a lot of friends. Did a lot of the Saturday night didn't go by, but what we did was somehow playing cards, playing pinochle, playing silly games. And we made I made friends in church and friends at work and friends just in the neighborhood and stuff. And so I started this group we called The Club. And I asked 4 of my best friends, so we all joined in together. And that was, I have to look up the date of that. That was way back. And we're still friends. We still get together. We still call ourselves The Club. And well, it's been over 50 years. And we lived happily ever after. That's a good place to end, wasn't it?
Fantastic. Fantastic.
But see, if Stanley or Eleanor were here, they'd,
Well, let's get Ellen.
And I got up the next morning, I just was crying. And I was laying on the bed like this, and my hands over my head and laying on my... The nurse came in and said, "What's the matter?" She says, and I said, "No baby," So it wasn't an easy time, that's true. But on the whole, we, for all of our not having a lot of stuff and not having stylish clothes, we had a good life.
You still do?
And still do.
Just got.
Cape Hatteras.
Mm-hmm.
Warm water, fresh rough water, to ride. I just love to dive in and ride the waves, and they had nice waves and nice temperature. But most places, Cape Cod, can't think of other places we went, they're all cold. Maine. Can't think of the other place we've sent several times. But we did a lot of camping, different sites, and we enjoyed that. But we almost always went someplace different every year. I covered that already, right?
Mm-hmm. When Andy gets back, we'll perspective on how it started. And let me see that notepad, if you don't mind.
I love this pen.
Well, I also haven't said a thing about Eleanor.
Your best
Yeah, well-
friend. And how you, yeah. You're talking
We
about
just-
how you met Stanley, right? You got all that, Matt?
Well, in bits and pieces, yeah, we can do a lot more of everything.
Okay. So let's first talk about, he turns it on, how you met.
I'm rolling.
Okay, how you met.
How I met Eleanor?
How you met, no, your husband.
Hmm?
How you met your husband. How you met
Oh.
Stanley.
Well, it just was a neighbor in the alleyway. We just were friends, that's all. He lived, as I said, I explained the alleyway and the street, they come together. And we went to the same schools and we walked to school. And we just, when I moved in to the alley, to Anthony Street, we just were friends. We just, well, there was another girl, Betty Quinn. We used to call ourselves the Three Musketeers. And everything we did the three of us, maybe one or two other people, but always the three of us. And this one time we gone with some movie we wanted to see. So I don't know how I got money. Whether my father had, my mother, I asked, and she happened to have a dime left, because it was only 10, 15 cents. But we were late, and so Eleanor and I were ready, and so we said, we ran almost all the way downtown. From here you go down Anthony Street, and then you go down through the Union College, and go down State Street. And so we ran, and we got them, realized we forgot Betty. And when we were down there, you had to get there by a certain time. That's why we ran. You had to be, because time changed, the price changed. And we left Betty behind. We thought she'd never speak to us again. But we made up.
How'd you meet Eleanor?
Well, just that she lived in the alley. She lived in the alley. Betty and I lived on Lang Street, and Eleanor lived in the alley. And, well, we just went to school together and just became friends because we had different courses. We weren't in the same classes or anything. But we liked to do the same thing. And as I said, we hiked, we picnicked, we used to walk up to, what used to be Collins Lake, can't think of the name of it now.
Thompson's?
No, that we had to have a car. We didn't have a car until
Oh.
Thompson's Lake. No, right up here. This lake is still in the pond. Lennox Road there.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't remember the name of it.
That simple thing like that's in my whole life, and I can't think of the name.
I'm talking about Lake George now?
Yeah, but before we do Lake George, there's something that Aunt Deb had mentioned. Your childbirth, giving birth, you actually walked onto the bus and drove the bus to the hospital to have kids?
Oh, yeah. We didn't have a car. And it's probably a matter of 3 or 4 miles. So we rented a bus, got on a bus to go up. You had to go up Union Street, way up Union Street to, what's the name of it now? But it's still there. But we walked up and checked me in, and Stanley walked home and left me there waiting for the baby to be born. And I think it was 2 days later. And then Mike, Eleanor and Mike had a car, so they came and got us and brought us home. But yeah, we walked up. Imagine we walked up to the hospital, which is probably a good 5 or 6 miles.
And you were in labor?
Huh?
You were in labor?
No.
You knew you were about to have a
No,
baby?
because I had lost the one baby. The doctor didn't want me to go full term, so she had me go in early, and they started it. In fact, they did it with all the kids. They didn't take a chance on them.
So tell us about Lake George and how the tradition
You're
started.
sketching Pat.
Yeah, she's just about to talk about some Lake
We
George.
needed you, Eleanor. Where were you?
In
You're
the
next.
bathroom. I always take a half hour in the bathroom.
No, you did dishes.
Oh, is that when you wanted me to
Yeah,
Do you
come?
want
yes,
her
we
in
said-
now 'cause she's
We
sick,
said
or
come
no?
right now,
Is everyone
Oh.
said you?
and I needed help.
Oh, what do you need help with?
Names
Remembering
and
things.
Oh,
Here, Aunt Eleanor, you can sit here. We're just about to talk through that.
you're interviewing Patricia, huh?
Mm-hmm.
She's telling us about
She's
bowling.
gonna no, this this is gonna be videotaping her
Oh.
while she talks.
Oh,
And
So I
I'm
gotta
gonna
talk-
ask her some questions, so I
Good.
need you to be a little quiet because then you'll go next.
Okay.
Okay?
yeah,
good.
but I'm talking to you, right?
Talking
Talk
to
to,
Danielle.
talk to me.
Oh, I'm talking to you now.
So
Oh,
pretend she's not here. So if you
Okay.
need help with anything,
help.
well,
No.
Say
What
help.
were-
but-
what were
but
some of
then
the-
we'll just need to phrase it in full sentence.
What were some of the things that I just couldn't think of the name of?
Don't worry about
We'll
it right
get
now.
back
We'll
to it.
start with
Let's
talk
about
Lake George
Lake
and how the
George.
tradition started.
how the
Oh, Lake George,
hold on,
well-
let me prompt you, like how the tradition started, who came the first time, and what you wanted
I
to
was the
do.
youth advisor at church, and I always took the kids on a camp out or a hike, and I continued my type of pleasure, which is being out of doors. And Lake George had just opened a couple years. I think it was a new state park. I think it's a state park, right?
It's a state park, yeah.
And so we all backpacked our tents and duffel and food and had parents drive us up to Rogers Rock, which had just opened. And we camped there for a weekend. And then we did it every year
From then on?
since then.
Who went with you the first trip?
Who was the first year? David Calderwood, Dougie Calderwood, Doug Fox, the girls. What were all the girls' names? There's a whole
You
family.
Went, so Aunt Eleanor
There's
was
a
there,
whole-
and his family.
There's a whole
wasn't
family of them.
Okay.
I wasn't there, just
No.
Pat and Stanley were the youth leaders.
Oh, the two of you. Oh, talk about that. The two of you you were together.
We were the youth advisors. Yes,
You and Stanley together with the youth
Right.
leaders, and that started the tradition.
right.
For the Westminster Presbyterian Church. You should say what that is, huh?
Yeah,
What
probably.
Posterity.
I hardly mentioned the name of the church. I didn't mention the name of the church, right?
So you were youth ministers for.
Youth advisors.
Advisors. Say you were youth advisors for the church.
Yeah.
So say that.
Yeah, we put on Christmas program plays, and the kids liked to sing. We used to go visit the shut-ins, and the kids would all sing. They were all good singers. They're all in the choir. And the choir let me sing with them. If you knew my voice, you'd say, "Boy, were they nice." Good
so you
to
had
me.
your first trip out to Lake George, and you liked it so much you wanted to turn it into a family reunion, and then you invited the cousins and talk about how
Oh.
it came from, started from that to where it is today, and the tradition.
Well,
what
they
it
all
means
were
to you.
campers. My whole family were campers on the Deforest side, not the King side, not my side. On my side of the family had all moved to Maine. So I was just the only person in Schenectady that. So we did everything with the Deforests, Peggy and Dee especially, and so it just happened. The second year they went, the third year they went. They went almost every year. We went except for the first one. And they still are. They're still campers.
What are some of
That's
the
Derwin, her Stanley's brother. I don't know if you want the details. Do you?
She should,
Yeah,
while you're
yeah.
talking, Gigi, try to give
Derwood,
more.
he's going to add him. Because his brother and sister were Derwood and Peggy. Margaret.
Brother and wife. His wife is Mark.
It's like pretty silly you on camera like that. So tell me about some of the things that you do at Lake George, and what are your favorite things to do at Lake George when you go on your family trips?
Well, first of all, we didn't have any boat or anything. We just went up and had somebody drop us off, and we'd set up our site. We'd just go swimming, and one of the boys' family had a camp at Lake George, though, and we had, well, he would take us over to the house for a while, but we had no boat or anything to get there, so just if they came to get us, but otherwise we just stayed there on our own and swam and played games. Oh, and it was a Bible study. We had a Bible study every day. They were good kids. They were terrific teenagers. I think I was lucky compared to what I hear about teenagers today.
You were terrific leaders.
And that also had sort of started by Girl Scouting. I was, I had 3 girls and I wanted to go to camp and stuff, so therefore I had to be the Girl Scout leader. The same thing with church. I told the minister, I said, when my kids were getting old enough, I said, if there's not a youth fellowship, in the church when my kids get there, we're going to go someplace where there is. So guess who became the youth leader? Me. I said, gee, open your mouth for anything and you have it. But we had wonderful times together. They were a wonderful bunch of kids.
Talk more about Lake George. Not even just that first year, but throughout the years, what are some of the, I've been there, so I know, but as if I didn't know, tell me about some of the traditions that you as a family do at Lake George, and how you all camp out, and you do your bonfires, you go swimming, you go to the rock, and tell me about some of your favorite times at Lake George.
Some of our favorite times, they just all rolled into one because they were the same people, the same family members. Like Ronnie, Stanley's brother, we'd beg him to come, and he might come for one day visit, but that's all. But Derwood and Peggy, and we loved it. We just went year after year after year.
And what are some of the things you do while you're at Lake George?
Well, water skied and aquaplaned. Well, aquaplaned, I guess, first.
Yeah,
Mike.
my husband made the aquaplane.
Yeah, Mike made an aquaplane for us to ride with the motorboat that he bought. He was great. He let us use everything. But nothing spectacular. Well, we'd hike. Oh, yeah, one real funny thing was, I think I swam across the lake with a bunch of kids. And we got over there, and here's a big campsite with picnic tables and 2 or 3 picnic tables and stuff. So we went back. Some of us swam and some of us came in a boat. So the boat went back and got the whole rest of the gang packed in our picnic gear, the stove and the food and stuff, and loaded the boat right up. In fact, Mike's sister was very dignified and, withdrawn to a degree. Anyway, she came too even. And the people in the motorboat came over and said, what are you doing on this private property? Here we had the picnic table loaded with food. We had people laying on towels and blankets and jumping off the rocks that were there and using it.
They kept telling us we kept saying, this is somebody's camp, but no, it's an abandoned.
Someone told us
an abandoned campsite.
Abandoned.
No, private. We're gonna switch over to Aunt Eleanor's soon. Okay.
And we believed him.
Yeah.
So we packed into that boat so fast. had to go back.
Very embarrassing.
I bet.
With Rufus, the great big
Oh,
dog.
yeah.
The dog took up half the boat.
Right. We had a big,
Huge dog.
and who liked to bark at people. You know how some dogs are very protective.
Yeah.
They
and
bark.
Barking at
you.
the owners.
The owners would come up and he gave him this big dog.
Mhm.